here. Righty. Okay, welcome everyone. It's good to see everyone again on this Thursday morning my time, Thursday evening your time. Welcome. Yeah, I think we're missing some people, but let's get started. Let's get started. Yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And we are at lesson number 6 already. Wow. We are really progressing on. We are, oh, there we go. We are really progressing on. We're learning a lot, and we're going to continue learning a lot of things. Yeah, maybe today there's a lot of more internet problems today than usual. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if they cannot join, as long as they finish, or they can watch the recording later and do the assignments at home afterwards, that's gonna be okay. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, and even here for us to, when it rains or when it's very windy, our internet sometimes is not very good. So the weather, the weather really affects our internet too. So I understand. Yeah. Yeah, so before we get started, friendly reminder, just a reminder that you do have an assignment due, assignment number 2. Let me open it up on here. It's so assignment number 2 is due on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we talked about how to make a form kind of like this. And then today I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to style the form a little bit, how to make it look a little pretty. We're going to write a little more CSS. So we're going to kind of continue this. So after today's class, you will have everything you need to create assignment number 2, which is due on Tuesday. During breakout room time today, there's not going to be a lab. You will just work on assignment number 2, so you can make sure you get assignment number 2 done. Now, if you haven't been able to finish assignment number 1, there were a few people that asked for a little bit more time. Please finish assignment 1 first and then do assignment 2. The order really matters because we're building one on one after the other. Okay, so let me put that in the chat here, recap. Hello, Hamid, welcome. So let me type in the chat what we just talked about. Assignment number 2 is due next Tuesday. And then same time at 12 p.m. AFT. So in the middle of the day, before coming to class. And welcome. Looks like more and more students are joining. So great. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Okay, great. Let me turn off my video. All right, wonderful. Wonderful. I want to ask everyone, how is forms just want to get a quick gauge of how everyone's doing with forms. Was it okay? Do you have some questions on how to work forms? Was it confusing? Was it very difficult? Yeah, great question. Roka asked, is indentation important? Yes, so we won't, in your assignment, especially assignment 1, we're not gonna make a big deal out of it, but indentation is, yes, it's pretty important. So starting assignment number 2, if you didn't really indent as you should, indentation is important. The reason why indentation is important is because when we start writing more and more code, and like even for lesson 5, we wrote a lot of stuff, like write form. This is a lot of code, right? If we don't indent properly, like everything's like the indentation is weird. It's really hard to see where read the code very well. Actually, in Workspace, I just found this out in the setting here, in the gear icon. You could actually show, if you go down here, there's something called, where was it? Where did it go? Where did it go? I thought I saw it. Where did it go? Tab size, code folding. Oh, indent guide. Here we go. This is kind of helpful if you want to turn this on. This indent guide here, right over here. It shows like your indentation, that everything lines up. So it's really helpful. You can like do that. And yeah, if you want to turn that on. Yeah, a little bit hard. So some people thought a little bit hard for forms. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna kind of review that today. So yeah, yes, Rokia. Yep. There's like a little, you can turn that on to help you see all the indents. Yeah. But yes, you really want to try to indent. Every time you put a tag inside another tag, you really want to make sure you're indenting and that everything is lining up. So my head is here, body's here, body ends here, everything lines up, right? Like makes it very neat. Form, div, label, so on and so forth. Yeah. Yeah, great question. Adding emoji. Yeah, I know. Adding emoji is fun, right? It makes it a lot more fun. All right, let's jump into today's lesson. So today we're going to be styling the form. We're going to make the form look pretty. Like I mentioned, we're going to make the form look a little bit, we're going to make a little bit more like this. Right, this is what we're going to make today. But before we do that, we need to talk about selectors. All right, so before I jump into code today, I want to talk to you about something a little bit. I talked about this in the lesson 6 video, but I'm going to do a quick review. I want to talk specifically about some more selectors, right? Selectors here. Let me open up this. This is this website here, developer.mozilla.org. By the way, is a very, very great resource if you like to read and learn more about things. This is a really great place. It gives you everything we talk about in this class. This site also tells you. There's like getting started, like it tells you all the stuff we talked about, how to make a how to make a link and like all this stuff. So I'm just going to show you this real quick, but something I wanted to talk to you about today is, let's talk a little bit more about CSS. There's a lot to uncover in CSS, and we're going to do it one at a time. Today, what I want to talk to you about is something called a little bit more about selectors. We've worked with selectors before, in CSS. We've used like these tag selectors, or we call them type selectors, where we do, span or div, and we've done stuff like that before. And then And then we also even talked about like classes. We've talked about classes, right? In your HTML tag, we put a class like this. And then in my CSS, I can select a class name by using this little period here. Okay. And then and then we also talked about IDs, how we can select an item, an element in our HTML by using ID, with an ID like this. And then you could do like, you could use a pound sign to select an ID. Okay, ID. All right, great. So we talked about classes and IDs. However, there are actually more ways we can select things. An example here is an attribute selector. I will just run through these. We have pseudo classes and combinators as well. All righty. So before we talk about that, let's bring let's bring us back a little bit. I want to introduce you to something called the DOM, DOL, or the document object model, every time you're writing HTML, every time you write HTML on your, in your code and the browser reads this, behind the scenes, what it's doing is it's creating a tree like structure, kind of like this, out of your code. And it looks a lot like a family tree. If you've ever created like your family tree with your parents and then your sibling, and then your aunts and uncles, your cousins, and then your grandparents and your great grandparents. The DOM is kind of like that. It's like a big family tree of all of your code. So anytime you're writing code, behind the scenes, that's what's happening. So as a result, so anytime we put a tag inside of another tag, like this title tag is inside the head tag, you're creating what we call a child. You're making these parent-child relationships. So my title tag is inside my head tag, right? So here's my head tag. That's the parent. And then my title tag is a child. So this parent-child relationship exists. Same thing with my body tag. I have a body tag here. Head and body are siblings because they're both inside the HTML tag, head and body. And the body tag has a lot of children. This body tag has a div ID header, for example. That's one tag here. And then here's a div ID content. That's a sibling. And a div ID footer. That's another sibling here. H1 is a child of div header, so there's a child there. So I'm creating these relationships of parent, children, as in the DOM. As a result, because I have these relationships, we are able to use all kinds of neat selectors. We are able to use like commas, spaces, these like weird looking symbols to select some CSS. So here, let me just do a quick example. Let's do this one here, content P, for example. If I put content, so we know that the pound sign is content, is ID, right? Is ID. I put a space and then put P. What it's going to do is it's going to select my content, all the paragraphs inside the element of the ID content. So it's going to select this one, this paragraph here, and then this one right here too. This is a grandchild. So using a combination of these selectors, we can like choose a lot of different elements as well. So it makes it really powerful. It allows us to choose a lot of different combinations of ways that of any elements in our CSS. So let's try some of these. Let's do a new workspace here. I'm gonna call this lesson number 6. One second. I'm gonna create this and you can all fork this because I'm gonna give you some, let's call this. All right, it's gonna look like this. Okay. let me go ahead and give you this access to this 1 second here. Make this public. And I'll also post it on at STEM, so you can grab it here. Actually, maybe I should put in lesson number 6. Or, let's just put it in discussion. Okay, go ahead. So here it is. To fork, remember, click on this icon here to fork, and then click on fork to make your own copy. Alrighty, is everybody able to get a copy? Fork this code. Okay, great. All right. All right, so down here you can see that I added a little input. This is like kind of our form, what we did before with our form. We have an input tag, we have 2 input tags like this. I have a input type text, and then input type password, for example, here as well. Okay, so before we've, in the past, if we wanted to select a specific element and give it some stuff, we do like class, like, we do like, or we put like a class, yeah, like we put like a class, I don't know, key or something, password or something. And then in the style, we do, password, right? And then we do like, I don't know, background color, something like that, right? That's how in the past, we use class or ID to select something and to change that into and then we use that to change a background color or something like that, right? But instead of doing that, sometimes writing classes over and over again gets kind of tedious. So I want to show you this is why I want to show you some better ways to select something. So instead of doing like using class, because this is an input, and because it has a type password attribute, I can use that. This is where attribute selectors come in handy. Attribute selectors, using these like brackets, we can select a specific attribute like this. For example, my anchor link that has an href attribute, I can select that in here. So I'm going to show you that here. Let's go back to our code. I can go into my CSS. Instead of doing password like this, I can do input. Okay, that was an input tag. Use these brackets, these square brackets, and I could say, hey, I want to choose the input tag that has this type attribute equal to password. Input type equals password. Okay, input type equals password. And just like that, because these are called attribute selectors. Right? We can choose any element in our CSS using the attribute selectors. Pretty neat, right? And if I had like a, let's say I had like a, yeah, let's say I had a link here or something. Okay, I could also select that using like a type equals, not type, href equals https, usc.edu, for example. And then we can do background color pink or something, and then we can grab that as well. We got a question in the chat. How can we use ID and class in the same tag? Yeah, so this is an example. I have an ID and a class together in this div tag here. This is normal. You can do this. You can have an ID or a class anywhere, and like you can have both ID and class attributes anywhere. And you just choose the one you want to use. Let's say, I don't know, maybe you could use both, like favorite has, maybe my favorite has like a I don't know, like background color yellow or something, right? And then my card has maybe a border color blue border with three pixels, border style solid maybe. Yeah, there you go. So because both of these divs have a class equals card, that's why both of them are going to have a border color blue, but then this ID has favorite, so only this one has a background color yellow. So yeah, you can create whatever kind of CSS rules you would like, actually, depending on like ID versus class, and yeah, kind of up to you. Just remember that ID is unique. Only one item, one element can have an ID, and that class can be reused over and over and over and again. So we learned how to now we have a lot of tools, a lot of ways we can select things. We can use ID like we've done before. We can use class like we've done before. And now we can also use attribute selectors too. So I have a question for you now that I have a question for you all here. Let's do a quick knowledge check here. Question. Okay, so we talked about we can use this to select the password. How can I select just my input tag with the type text? And you can type in the chat. How can I select this tag, this input tag here with just input type equals text? Not using a class though, not using class. Let's type this. Yeah, I'm sorry, not red, not using a class red, but using an attribute selector, kind of like this. We got a couple answers. Great. Any other answers? Okay, great. Yes. Yep, we can do input, definitely. Text like this. And then we can say, you know, background color again, orange or something like that. Perfect. Input type text. We can also, remember, these are useful attribute selectors. You can select any attributes. So we can also even do like name equals name. This name, we talked about this name attribute. It doesn't really do anything, but in our forums, we talked about this name attribute. So this name doesn't do anything, but it is an attribute. So we can actually even do like name equals name as well. And then just like that, my input that has a name attribute, name, I can use this as well. Let me move this a little bit. Yeah, great, great, great. Yep, input type text also works as well. Yeah, input text works as well. Great. We got a question about how can we change the background to picture? Yeah, so that's actually part of the assignment. Assignment number 2, you need to find out how to make a picture, how to add a picture in the background. That's actually part of the assignment. I'm not going to tell you the answer right away. That's part of the homework to kind of research when you're adding a background image. You're going to need to do a little research on this. It is through CSS. That's a hint here. Hint here. So I want you to practice learning how to look things up. So you can easily Google this on Google. You can say like how to add background image on CSS like that, and it will tell you. And you can kind of look it up, play around with it, and yeah. Yeah, don't think too much. Yeah, some of these are very straightforward. How do I make a background image? Oh, just use background dash image. Oh, how do I add a background color? Oh, background color. How to add a border color? Border color. Yeah, a lot of times it's pretty straightforward, which I like. Yeah. All right, cool. So that's the attribute selector for you. Let's do some And we're gonna go back to forms in a little bit, but I want to show you, let's talk about these selectors first, and then we'll go back, to making our forms for it. Good. All right. The next thing I want to show you is something called pseudo selectors. Right? Pseudo selectors. Pseudo selectors. Also all written here as well. Pseudo classes and things like that. Pseudo classes are really interesting. There's stuff like last child, only child. There's a little colon here. So going back to our DOM here, right? And every time we're writing HTML, we're creating these like parent-child relationships. Like this div has, a paragraph here, and then it has like a child of paragraph tag here, a grandchild of paragraph tag here, for example. So using these child relationships, I can select any, like when you see a lot of elements, I can select maybe the first one or the second one, or so on and so forth. So here are my favorite things. These are actually my favorite things. I love coffee. I love coding. I love teaching. And one of my favorite books / movies is Harry Potter. Let's say I want to just select the word coffee. What if I want to select just the word coffee? And then I want to change the color of it or something. Usually I would have to do, like class here, and then put like, I don't know, coffee or something. And then I would have to do, coffee, like color red or something like that, right? However, I don't need to do that anymore using these pseudo selectors. Using pseudo selectors, I don't need to do class. What I can do is pseudo selectors let us know the order of things, first child, second child, so on and so forth. I could do something like this where I do li, okay, li colon first child, like that, first child. So what it's saying is, look at all my li's, like I have li's here, I have li's here too, and grab the first child. So li is a child of ul. Ul is the parent. So li, and wherever li is a first child, which is here, and also here, eggs, here, they're both the first child, or we change it to color red. Color red. So these pseudo selectors are very nice. We could even do li, and if you want a more specific one, nth child like this, and maybe I want the third one, like number 3, to be color green or something like that. There we go. Now my third one, teaching and apple juice here. This has a color green on it. Right, so these are pseudo class selectors. There we go, pseudo class selectors. There are, these are the main one, last child, only child. There's also like invalid and things like that, but there we go. Let me do a recap in the chat here. Rocky has a good question. What if we write UL first child? Yeah, why don't we try it? Let's try it. What happens if we do UL first child? Right, UL first child. I know it sounds like we should, like, to me, this also makes sense. Like, oh, let's get the first child of my UL tag, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that. What's gonna happen is if I do, let's give it like a font weight, or let's give it a yeah, let's give it like a font, or let's do background color just to make it obvious. Orange or something. It's gonna is it being overwritten? Might be being overwritten here. Oh, no, it's not. Um, huh. I thought it would still, oh, you know why this doesn't work? Okay, this does not work because UL is actually not UL is not the first child of div. P is the first child. So that's why this won't work. So, but if I erase P, there you go. Now it works. That's a good one. So if I remove P, now it turns orange. So yeah, so UL first child means get the entire UL tag. That's the first child. So if you want to just get the LI tag, you want to use LI. Yeah. Let me reply to you in the chat. This is a really good question, great question. Okay, let's see. We got a question. If we want to only change the first class, third LI, not both classes. Can you rewrite the question one more time? Do you mean if you want to change just the first and the third one? I think there's also like you can do like odd, and it'll change just the like it's a background color, for example. Like you can do every odd, like the first and the third. You can do odd numbers, you can do even as well if you want to, like every other. That's kind of nice too. Yeah. All right, cool. And then here's a really nice pseudo class one I think you'll really enjoy. Here's another one that I think is really fun. Hover. There is a pseudo class called hover, like this, just a hover, like a or the word is hover, and you can put it on any element, any element. So what happens is when I hover over, what this is saying is, when I hover over, this is saying is when A is hovered. Okay, when A is hovered, I'm gonna change its background color to yellow, let's say, and color, or let's do like, I don't know, like black maybe this time. And then color yellow, for example. Now, when I go over here and I hover over my anchor link, whoa, look at that. This hover effects are very useful. There we go. And we can do this to any of our elements. Same with, again, with li. You know, when I hover over, right? And then I can do li, let's background color again to lavender, I don't know. Now if I hover over any of my li items here, we are changes. Pretty nice, right? Hover is super fun. You could add all kinds of stuff in here. You could even do like, you know, maybe make the font size like really big, you know, like, so when I hover over like anchor link, it becomes like really big. Um, yeah, hover effects are super fun. So I'm using pseudo classes. You can do hover. And then by the way, you can now that you have hover, you can even use like, let's see, I have a this my paragraph tag here has a class shopping text. I can do it with that too. I can say shopping text, hover. When I hover over that, maybe change its background color to pink or something. And there we go, shopping list. Shopping list. We like to do a lot of border stuff. Um, yay, 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 yay. I'll put some comments in here. We put in the chat, recap what happens. Yeah, it's part of, hover is one of my favorite things. Later on in this class, we'll talk about like animations and stuff like that with web. That's where hover effects get really fun. You can have all kinds of fun hover effects. Hip hop, is that what you're saying? Yeah, a lot of really fun things here. Any questions so far? So we talked so far about, you know, we did ID class before, we did attribute selectors before, we did pseudo classes, a lot of fun stuff. Oh, it's okay. Margin. We have a question about margin. Anybody can answer? How can we add margin? We've talked about margin before. Let's ask the students. Let's ask the class. Yeah, margin, border, we use like borders, these three here. Margin, let's try one. Let's try it on favorite. Here's my favorite things. The favorite is that first box there. We can do margin. Yeah, we got some good question. We could either margin top equals 20 pixels like that. We could do margin bottom, 20, like 10 pixels, or like 40 pixels. Yeah, you could do margin top, bottom. We could do margin left, 10 pixel. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Right. Great answers in the chat. However you'd like. Margin top, bottom, left, right. Wonderful. Great. Did you get how did that answer your question, Shireen? Alrighty then, moving on a little bit. Let's talk about combinators. Now that we so even I'm going to show you one last selector. So we've done ID, we've done attribute selectors, we've done pseudo class selectors, hover effects and stuff like that. The last one I want to show you is called combinator selectors, also known as compound selectors. Okay, I kind of showed you one here where we do space like that. I'm gonna show you another one here. So I have a div with the ID favorite, and I have a p tag here, my favorite things, and then a p tag here, my name, Nayeon Kim. So if I do this, favorite p, okay, if I do favorite p, and I do font weight bold, color, I need more colors in my life. Color blue, let's say. There we go. Favorite space p tag. Here's my p tag. Notice it's selected. Maybe it's a different color. Yeah, it's selected both this paragraph and this paragraph down here. Both of them now have the color green. So just because I put favorite space p, it grabs all the elements inside this favorite here. So whenever you have favorite two elements like this with a space in between, it's gonna grab all the things in my HTML element. P. Any child, any descendant. So let me show you this. And then there's also this one. This one's also is kind of similar. P, like that. Let's do background color, so many colors. I can't think of colors anymore. Orange. Okay, take a look at this one. So on this one, I just added is it a less than sign like that, like a little caret here? And this one is very similar to, this one just has space. What this one does is it only selects its direct children, like P tag. It doesn't select any like grandchildren. So let me show you in the visual here. So this one, this P, what it does is it only selects, so div ID content here, it only selects the first item, not, it doesn't select the grandchildren. It only selects its direct children. So that's a little bit different. It's sometimes very useful. Okay. And then the last one more I want to show you is this plus sign one, this plus sign one. So we can use just space or the less than sign to select children. What about siblings? We can use this plus icon, this plus sign here to select siblings. So if I want to select my div that's next to the paragraph tag, P plus div, my siblings, I can do that. Using P plus div like this. I can do P like P plus UL, for example. I have a paragraph tag right next to my UL tag. They're siblings like this. Oh, why did I put that in a comment like this? Using P plus UL, I can grab the UL that's right next to the P tag. So this is going to be where to go? Let's do like background color. Think of something. And I'm totally out of colors. There you go. So anytime the P is right next to the UL, P is right next to the UL, we're gonna get that background color pink. All right, I'm gonna put a type in the week. Let's do a quick recap in our chat here. Yeah, so plus sign is not for parent child. Plus sign is for only for siblings. So only when they're like, yeah. So div is right next to paragraph tag. Yeah. So example. we're gonna continue practicing with these different types of selectors a lot. So you'll get more and more practice and more understanding. But for now, this is more of like an intro to all these. There's so many different ways we can write CSS now, right? There's so many different ways we could select elements. And I kind of wanted to show you all the various ways we can do that for now. I want to now, if you have questions, let me know. But I do want to now, let's jump back to our lovely forms. Let's go back to our form, and then I'm gonna have to do the same. I'm gonna fork my form. Let's open my form. There's from lesson number 5. Okay, and we're gonna fork this. Remember our form from Tuesday. Let's kind of finish this form up and make it look pretty. Make sure I can share this. Let's go ahead and delete. You can also use the form that you created on Tuesday if you would like. So please make a to this workspace and make a fork. Yep, you can use your workspace too. Yeah, no problem. And then let me put it in our discussion as well. Post on Etsy for those of you that want it. And I'm gonna have to fork my own too, because I want to leave a copy of this, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on fork, and there you go, my lesson number 5. This is lesson number 6, forms. Here we go. And then let's look at our lovely form here, the form that we just started creating. I have like we don't need the display. I have like a thank you part too. So two parts here. Give everybody a second to do that. Okay, everyone good? Okay. All right, let's make our form look nice. So we're gonna make our form look something like this. Okay, this is kind of the end goal. We're gonna convert our bare bones, our very simple form into looking something like this. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the internet is weak today. Yeah, it seems like it. A lot more slower responses today. It's okay. Just keep do as much as you can. And then there's a recording at the end as well. So And I'm gonna post all the code so you can refer to everything. So yeah, so sad to hear that. Okay, before I jump into the code here, one last thing I want to tell you about is how to write CSS. So far we've been writing CSS like this in a style tag, but I'm gonna move on to writing our CSS in what we call an external style sheet. So in here so far we've been writing internal style sheet. Now we're gonna start writing in an external style sheet. The reason for this is because this is gonna be really useful, especially now that even in your assignment number 2, when we start having multiple pages, many different pages, it's really, and you have similar CSS stuff going on, it's really useful to have one CSS file that's shared amongst different files instead of just using, so you don't rewrite CSS over and over and over again. So we're going to be writing CSS like this, where we're going to link a separate CSS file into our HTML file. So so as a result, we're going to have like a shared CSS file, and multiple HTML files are going to be able to use that CSS file. So let's try that. So here's back in my lesson 6 forms. I'm going to create a new file called styles.css. Styles.css is like a generic name we like to put for our CSS files. There we go. We got styles.css here. And we're going to be writing our CSS in here. I'm going to put some comments in here. Write CSS only in here. And don't forget styles.css, styles.css. So click new file and make sure it's styles.css, like that, styles.css. Right? And in my form here, right, we are going to, instead of writing a style tag like this, we're going to write a link tag like this. Link, oh, there's no closing tag for link. It's going to be link, REL, style sheet, type equals text CSS, href equals styles.css. Like that. So I'm going to put some comments in here. I'll copy and paste it in the chat for us too. Okay, and now when I write CSS in here, let's do like body tag or something like that. Background color, pink, let's say. There you go. We got a nice background. Now we're only writing CSS in here. It's separate. We got CSS written here. Form, our CSS files linked here. 2 separate things. Very nice. And I could do my usual like H1 and give that like maybe a text align center. Let's center that over. Oh, I didn't tell you guys about this CSS selector. It goes to comma. What comma selectors do is I could say H1 and paragraph, both of them be text line center. So we can do using comma. So both of them have a text line center now. Very nice, right? So it's instead of writing the same thing multiple times, this is the nice thing about code is as we write more and more code, we don't want to write too much repetitive code. That's why we like to use these kind of selectors, these combinator selectors, these attribute selectors, to make writing code a little bit faster for us. Okay, and then what about this entire form? Let's give that our entire form. Where's our form? Like this entire form here. Let's give that a or let's maybe give our like our main, we have a main here, right? We have a main here. So maybe we can use that. We can have, let's see, like maybe the main can have a background color of, I'm gonna try a different one, dark magenta. Take a look at that. There we go. Or maybe we should make the form have a background color, dark magenta. Okay, yeah, the form itself, have like a form tag here, this whole form. And then maybe I should give this like, we can do like color white. It makes all of our all the text in there white. And then maybe let's give it a bigger font size, like 20 pixels or something like that. It's a little bit bigger. Okay. And then maybe let's give our form like a width, like, I don't know, like I'm just picking a random 500 pixels. Okay, that's like a good size. And we're running out a little time here, so I'm gonna just go ahead. Remember how we can center, horizontal center block items by using, there we go, like margin left, margin right, like that. We can also add some padding. The spacing is a little bit weird looking, so maybe let's add some padding. 10 pixels, right, 10 pixels, padding. Top 10 pixel, padding. Bottom 10 pixel, something like that. I don't know, maybe more. Getting some spacing there. It's looking good, looking better. Okay, slowly looking better. Now now that we got like the container kind of figured out, let's talk about like, what about like the, like the name, like let's, oh, padding left has not been applied. Padding, oh, you mean padding right, maybe? Oh, it's because I spelled it wrong. Great, good catch, nice catch. Yeah, I spelled it wrong. There we go. All right. And then like let's take a look. Let's add some spacing in between all of our stuff here. Like, like let's add some spacing. Like maybe my input tag, I need a margin, like some bottom here, maybe like 10 pixel. There you go. My input tags now have like a bit of a margin thing going on. And then what I really want to do is, kind of like our assignment here. By the way, a lot of stuff, like our assignment here, I want to make the, let's remove that first. I want, like, kind of like our assignment here, I want to make the label on the top like this, and then put the input right on the bottom. So right now the label and then the input is next to each other, but I want to make the label go on top, and then the input box, the input box, like on the bottom, like name, and then underneath it, box, email, underneath it, input box, so on and so forth. So I'll show you how to do that. So if you recall, remember this in the concept of inline versus block elements. By default, what is this label? These labels here, I have a lot of labels. Each of these labels, by default, they're what we call inline elements. They're all on its own. It's all inline by default. That's why they're not next to each other. But luckily we can, so let me put some comments in here. By default, that is why label is right next to the input text. We can change this. Yeah, we can change this. Let me put up my code a little bit more. We can change this. I'm going to grab all my label tags. I'm going to grab all my label tags and I'm going to change them to this display block. And just like that, whoa, take a look at this. And just like that, all my label tags are now on its own row, name, and then the field is on the next row, so on and so forth. So starting to look a little bit more like this with a name on the top, name on top, and then the field, the text field right under. However, it also kind of messed up a little bit with like our like green tea, black tea, like all these like, right, like our radio button labels. Okay, because our label for our radio buttons, like green tea, like black tea, ginger tea, all of these are all label tags too. So that's why when I did label display block, they all became like in their own line too. But for my radio buttons, I actually don't want it to be blocks. I want them to be inline actually, just for the radio button one and the checkbox one. So I can create a class just for them. And I can say inline label, maybe just say display inline, change them back to inline like this. And then go back to my HTML and any of my like inline, like green tea, for example, I don't want it to be in the next row. I can give it a class inline label. All right, there we go. Now it's like back to inline. Same thing with my black tea label here. And then also my ginger tea label. Okay, and maybe also my check boxes here. I got honey, got sugar, and then my cinnamon. There you go. Looking a lot better. So let me go ahead and recap here. Okay. Big recap in the chat here. Can be a little bit confusing. So I wanted to write that in. So I did label. So this is where CSS is starting to get a little more fun, a little more challenging. So if you're kind of confused about this, it's okay. We're gonna, keep ask questions, we're gonna just keep practicing. So when I do label display block, that's how I'm able to have my name on the top and then the field on the bottom, email address, and then on the bottom, right? We're able to create that. However, like my radio button or checkbox labels, like green tea, black tea, all these, I don't want them to be its own row. I want it to be in line like this. So that's why I created a class called inline label, display inline. And then I went back to my HTML, and for all my label tags that I wanted to be inline, I added a class inline label. All right, what's next? What's next? What is next? What is next? All right, now let's start styling a little bit more our actual input tags here, our text boxes and our our input tags. Let's make them like a little bit, let's make them a little bit easier to read and things like that. Yeah, let's go back in here. Okay, let's keep going. Like all of my input tags, I kind of want, or you know what? I actually have, what do I have? I have yeah, I have like a div tag around each of my like label and stuff. So you know what? I can actually do like div tag. I can actually say, hey, all my div tags, give it like a margin bottom of like 10 pixels or something. And there you go. We're gonna get some spacing in between each. And this is possible because I remember this was kind of tedious, but now it's getting really useful. Between each of my labeled input pairs, it's surrounded by a div tag. The div is a parent of all of my every single row. So using that, I can say div, margin bottom 10 pixels, and then all of them will have a nice here. And then I can also start adding. Now let's make our input, even like I can select our input tags like this, my input tags, and I can start giving it like like a width, like 500, 400 pixels. Okay. Oh, and then what just happened? My radio buttons started to get weird too. And that's because my radio buttons are also input tags as well, right? All these, there's so many input tags everywhere. So we can use, this is where our attribute selectors are really useful. We can just say input type equals text. There we go. Now we're only selecting my, and we could even say, what's the other one? Comma. The other one is email, I think. There we go. Now I can select just both of these elements, these input boxes. I could give it a width of 400. I could give them a height too. Now they're a lot bigger now, right? Yeah. We could even change the font size of these, maybe a little bit bigger, like 20 pixels. When you're typing in, it's like a lot bigger. It's a lot easier to read. Right, looking a lot more like, a little bit more like our assignment here. And another thing, we're going to be talking about this a little bit more in next week, but I also want to start telling you about some percentages. So far, we've been using pixels just to like add give a set dimension to all of our items. But you can also use something called percentages. Like there's 100%, for example. Take a look at that. Notice now my the width of the element became 100%. If I change this to 50%, it's gonna be half of my form. So using percentages, we don't have to define a specific width. Sometimes using percentages is nice. So what it's doing is it's gonna be 50%, the percent of whatever its parent is. So where's my input tag here, my email address here, it's going to be 100% of whatever the form is going to be. The form has a width of 500 pixels. So when I do with 50%, it's going to be half of my 500 pixels. So percentages are kind of nice because you don't have to like rely on that set number. So even if I changed my form background, my form width to like, I don't know, like 900 or something, or 200 even, the width, notice the width of my input is always going to be 100% of that area. So, yeah. Give you a second to kind of catch up here. Any questions? It's a lot, covered a lot here. Okay. All right, let's talk about our thank you message real quick. Let's style our thank you message real quick. So I'm gonna type in my info here. I'm gonna submit it. And remember my thank you message here. So my thank you message, I kind of want it to look similar to my assignment. Like here, take a look at this. Like both of my pages look kind of similar. I have like this background color here. I kind of want to use the same background here. So because I already have my in my form, right? In my form, I already kind of styled this like very nicely. I have like a form. My form has a like my form already has this background color, like it has all of this. I kind of want to reuse this for my thank you HTML. I can do that because I'm using external CSS file. I can have both my form page and my thank you page. They can both share my CSS file. They can both share this. So I'm gonna use the same thing here. My thank you, I want to put it right in here. Thank you, right? And then my thank you file is gonna look, notice this, my thank you file automatically, because I pulled it in, it has the body background color pink on here because I'm using it here. It already applies it right in here. And it even applied this, my text align center right over here because I'm already doing it. So I didn't write any new CSS. I simply linked this CSS file. And because they're both now sharing the CSS file, my thank you HTML is going to read all of this and apply it on the thank you as well. This is going to be useful because I'm going to put a main here. It's the main. Okay. And then even this, what did I put on? I put it on a form, right? Like this, instead of form, if I do, let's go ahead and pull this up again. My form, like I really like this like purple, like all this stuff, right? I want to kind of reuse this for my thank you page. So instead of making this a form, maybe I should just give this a class, like I don't know, or maybe I should put on main. Yeah, you know what? I should just put it on main. Yeah, because I already have a main tag here. Okay, I'm gonna put it on main. I change this to main. And my thank you.html, I'm gonna put it in main as well, like this. And then so that means when I open it, now main, oh nice. Main's gonna have, because put it on main. Thank you is also gonna use main. It's gonna add this purple background color and all this on its main as well. So main is being reused on my thank you. So I have a nice purple thing. If I wanted to change the background color to sky blue, let's say, thank you is gonna change it to sky blue. And then form is also gonna change it to sky blue as well. Ooh, very nice. Okay, so this is the power of external style sheets, where you can use one CSS file for multiple things to share. And when there's similar things, both sheets can reuse it. Ooh, okay, we actually covered a lot of stuff today. We're getting today's lesson number 6. We're about a third, I think, way into the class. So we're learning more and more advanced stuff every day. It's getting a little bit harder and a little bit harder. And so if you're kind of got a little lost today, it is okay. Ask questions in the WhatsApp. You're gonna get a lot of practice in your assignment number 2. We're gonna go to breakout rooms now, and you can ask a lot of questions in there too. And you're gonna be working on assignment 2. All right, so this is assignment 2. You're gonna be a lot of the stuff we learned today, you're gonna be reusing it here. You're gonna have to do a little bit of research, like how to add a background image, also like how to add like a background color on the button. I'll let you figure that out. Yeah, I'll let you figure that out on your own. But you have all the tools now. You're prepared now. You have all the knowledge now to submit assignment number 2. right? So, and then we're gonna start writing our CSS now in this external CSS file. We're not gonna be writing CSS in the head in the internal style sheet anymore. Although you still can if you want to, but most the main CSS is gonna start going in here. Yep, I'm gonna share all of this code. I will be sharing all the code. I'm gonna this is all workspace, so I'm gonna share it I'll put it on a post and I'll put it in our lesson. Yeah. Yes. But the ultimate goal in this class is for you to not only complete the assignments, but I really hope you're learning as you're writing it. So please don't ever just like copy paste your code into your thing to make it work. You always want to try to understand what's happening. Like that's why I write a lot of comments like this in the code, so you know what's happening. So even if you're writing the same code, at the very least type it out. Don't copy paste. Copy paste will make you never learn anything. You really want to type things out and learn things word by. You really want to understand what each line of code is doing. That's really what's important here. You really want to understand, what is this again? Why did she do what with 100%? Why did she do height 40 pixels? Those are good questions to ask. You should always ask, why is this code? Why this code is working? Or what is this code doing? Those are really good questions to ask. You want to understand what every line of code is doing. And that's the best way to learn through this. Yes, comments. Yes, that's I like the comments too, because you can review what did we just do here, and then we put some more comments actually. Like because main is in both form HTML. Okay. Alrighty, we're gonna go into breakout room. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna leave the code up here, but I'll also share the code in a little bit. Let's go into breakout rooms. We got um oh, yeah, I guess there's a lot of internet issues today. Yeah. All right, let's do breakout rooms. We're gonna do 4 of them. Second. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open the rooms. Please join your breakout rooms, and I will post the code in just a bit. I can also post it here for now. And please work on assignment 2. Ask any questions. I pause the recording. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Yes, office hours. Tomorrow. So please come to office hours if you need help. And if you can also ask your questions on SM. Also post your questions on WhatsApp. There's other peers here that have a little more experience. Your other students here can help you out too. So again, best time to ask question is now. So please ask a lot of questions. Okay, well, I look so weird in the video because of light. Okay, well, have a great rest of your evening. See you all on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Goodbye,
Thank
teacher.
you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good night.